Hi, I'm Paul McConnell from the Doctor Lawyer team. I'm going to talk to you about how to file your own federal tort claim, or SF-95. First, why would we be making this film? After all, did we make another video where we talked about how perilous it can be to do it on your own? Because if you do it and get rejected and then reach out to us, we more often than not won't accept the case because it's not enough time. Or we talk in the other video about how ours are so much more compelling. Well, in any event, we thought this would be helpful. In some cases, there are people that are stubborn, but in many other cases, there's people that come to us that we want to help, but we can't accept the case for a variety of reasons. But chief among them might be, for example, that although it's close, we don't think that there's either negligence or causation, and we don't want to stake our reputation and submit it because we deal with the torts branch all the time, the same attorneys, and we really want our reputation to be intact for the cases that we do submit. And thus, we just want to help clients that can't find an attorney and get the Federal Tort Claim Act SF-95 form submitted to the right folks to preserve your case. Because from your point of view, there's no harm, right? Anyway, we hope this helps. So if you're to go to Google and type in SF-90-95 form or form SF-95, you'll find a link. You'll be able to pull up the SF-95 form. It's a government form, and you can see it in the bottom right, standard form 95. And so this is where we're going to talk about filing, which it's not the only thing you'll submit to have a good federal tort claim, but it is, and it's also not required, but it is important and very helpful. So let's talk about completing this form to the best of your ability and where to send it and the like. Okay, so all right, so here's the form. On the back, there are directions, as with any government form, that are also very helpful with respect to completing the form and information. I know it's hard to see here, but that's why I just showed a more blown up version a moment ago. So block 8, it says basis for the claim, and block 10 says state the nature and extent of your injury. Really, for both of those, you can just say see attached, and then have an attachment that answers those questions. You don't need to break out the questions separately. You just have to have a narrative that describes what happened, and in as much detail as possible, and what the injuries were with as much detail as possible. And then other important things to note with respect to this is the block number 1, submitting to an appropriate federal agency. In some cases, you can submit it to more than one location with getting it to the right federal agency. But if you get it to the wrong specific location where it should be, even though it can be accepted, they're just going to forward it and it'll add some delay. So the most common places that we submit forms, claims that you will as well, is the Department of Veterans Affairs, specifically for medical malpractice in particular that occurs at VA hospitals. This is the address for that. And then for active duty claims, that is active duty service members that were injured or suffered medical malpractice at a military hospital, they would submit their claims to any one of these 3 offices. Here's the address for the Air Force, Department of the Air Force, Department of the Army, and the Department of Navy. And as you know, Marines fall under the Navy for purposes of healthcare. And so these are the addresses. You want to make sure you get those correct in that block number 1. Many of these blocks, and then another popular place for post office, whether it's a postal truck accident or a slip and fall at the Postal Service, this is the address where you would file and mail those. You can deliver it to any Postal Service office, and they'll accept it as they have to, but they're just going to forward it here, and so you might as well just send it there and yourself. Okay, so there's a block 11 with respect to witnesses. Listen, if you were in an automobile accident, for example, with a postal truck, yeah, definitely add a couple witnesses. If you had the police officer's report, or if you had somebody that was driving with you, add the witness. But with respect to medical malpractice claims, we usually put our client's name and address here. maybe somebody else. But with respect to the providers and other attending nurses and the like, we don't list them all here. And you don't need to either. You can just say see attached medical records, for example. Okay? A lot of times we just put maybe our client's name or just see attached and see attached. All right. There are certain areas that have to be super accurate, and this is one of them. This block 12B, A, B, C, and D. And this has to do with how much money you're going to demand for your federal tort claim. So if there was property damage, you would put that there. And personal injury, if you suffered injuries or medical malpractice, you're going to put a specific amount there. If somebody died due to medical malpractice or for some other reason, then the amount would go here as opposed to here. And then 12D you would add up A, B, and C. In some cases, it just matches 12B and 12D, just match one another. What's important to know is that it be a whole dollar amount. It not say something like a lawsuit might say in state or federal court, money in excess of $15,000, for example. It has to be a whole dollar amount. And it can't be, or whatever amount you allege here is the most you can ever allege. But at the same time, as we describe in other videos, there's a little bit of an art to it. You don't want to allege so much that you appear completely undetached from reality. But in any event, make sure it's a whole dollar amount. Make sure you sign it and date it. Very important. So of the things that are important, getting the right address, signing it, and getting a whole dollar amount that you claim, those are amongst the most important things with respect to submitting the claim. So additionally, that's just the SF-95 form. What else do you want to submit? Well, in cases where we represent clients, we include a cover letter with a number of attachments. This is kind of our form letter. And you can do something similar, type in the address and, a subject line, and write a little bit about, kind of in summary form, what the allegations are. Because remember, you're going to have another attachment that's going to go along with this that's going to have more particular details. So you don't have to be overly detailed in here, just kind of a paragraph of what in general the case is about. And then just reference that you have additional attachments. You're going to have your signed SF-95 form with the sum certain alleged. You will not have a claim authorization agreement. You're very unlikely you're going to have any expert opinions that are accompanying yours, and if you don't have an attorney helping you to obtain them. But you could have some excerpts from the medical records, right? So you get all your medical records, which are going to be in a DVD that you're going to include as an exhibit. And if there's some particular areas that you want to focus on and highlight, well, then print those off, hard copy, paper copies, and highlight a few things. So that might be something that you attach. In addition, as we described before, rather than your an expert opinion, you're going to have your own description of what happened. And then down here, you might have a biographical statement of what happened, or you might combine them in some cases. You may want to add a few photographs. We usually add a few photographs to kind of, especially if it shows some of the injuries, and then just also family photos to kind of bring your package to life. And importantly, you're going to want to have a DVD that contains all of your VA and civilian medical records. And then get all this submitted. You will get, once you submit it, to typically about a month. We're finding now sometimes it takes 2 months later. You will get a letter in the mail acknowledging receipt, and often they will tell you your point of contact, what lawyer, tort branch lawyer, or paralegal will be your point of contact. And they'll tell you that you can wait 6 months, and then after 6 months you can file a lawsuit. If you're hoping to settle the claim through the claims process, it's not going to happen in 6 months. You're going to wait at least a year, typically closer to 18 months before you can discuss settlements, somewhere between 12 and 18 months. After 6 months, you can file a lawsuit, but of course, you're probably going to want to have an attorney to assist you with that. All right, hope this helps, and best of luck in filing your claim. Make it as detailed as possible. You just follow these steps, and it's going to be, I can't promise it's going to be granted, but you will have put your best foot forward. Thank you.